Imagine failing a breathalyzer test without ever touching alcohol. No beer, no wine, not a single drink, and the machine still says you're drunk. It sounds impossible. It's not. There's a real medical condition where your own gut turns ordinary food into alcohol from the inside without you ever drinking it. And once you understand how it happens, you'll never look at a loaf of bread the same way again. In 2013, doctors in New York examined a woman who kept failing breathalyzer tests. Police assumed she was hiding alcohol. Her family assumed the same. She insisted she hadn't had a drink in years. Doctors ran blood tests anyway and found her blood alcohol level was genuinely elevated, as if she'd downed several drinks. But there was no alcohol in her stomach, no bottles, no evidence of drinking at all. Eventually, researchers isolated the cause: certain strains of yeast and bacteria living naturally in her gut were fermenting the carbohydrates she ate, bread, pasta, sugar, and converting them directly into ethanol, the same alcohol found in beer and wine. Her own digestive system had become a functioning brewery. The medical term for this is auto-brewery syndrome, and it is rare, but it is completely real. Here's what's actually happening inside the gut. Fermentation is simple chemistry. Yeast breaks down sugar and starch, and one of the natural byproducts of that process is ethanol. This is exactly how beer, wine, and spirits are made: controlled fermentation in a barrel or a vat. In a healthy gut, this process happens too, but in tiny, harmless amounts, quickly processed by the liver before blood alcohol ever rises. In auto-brewery syndrome, something is different. Certain fungal strains, often a yeast called Saccharomyces cerevisiae, the same species used in brewing and baking, overgrow in the digestive tract. Combined with a diet high in refined carbohydrates, that overgrowth can produce enough ethanol to genuinely intoxicate a person hours after eating a completely normal meal. This is why the condition is so often misdiagnosed. Someone appears drunk with no drink in sight, so the obvious assumption is secret drinking, denial, or an addiction being hidden. Patients have lost jobs, custody battles, and relationships because doctors, employers, and even family members didn't believe there was a medical explanation. It sometimes takes years and multiple hospital visits before anyone tests specifically for gut fermentation. The breakthrough usually comes the same way. A patient is placed in a controlled hospital room, given only carbohydrates, no access to alcohol at all, and their blood is tested afterward. When blood alcohol rises anyway, there's no other explanation left. The gut itself is producing it. So why don't more people have this? Most guts keep yeast and bacteria populations in careful balance, and the liver clears small amounts of ethanol almost immediately. Auto-brewery syndrome tends to appear after something disrupts that balance: long courses of antibiotics that wipe out competing bacteria, uncontrolled diabetes, Crohn's disease, or short bowel syndrome, all of which can let fermenting yeast overgrow unchecked. Some documented cases also point to yeast strains that are unusually efficient at converting sugar into alcohol, essentially turning an ordinary digestive tract into a more effective fermenter than most people's. Diet plays a role too. A high sugar, high refined carbohydrate diet gives fermenting yeast far more raw material to work with, which is part of why treatment almost always includes cutting carbs drastically alongside antifungal medication. The real-world impact of this condition is stranger than fiction. There are documented legal cases where drivers failed roadside breathalyzer tests, faced drunk driving charges, and had no alcohol in their system by any normal explanation until auto-brewery syndrome was identified as the cause. In several of these cases, courts accepted medical evidence and charges were dropped. Some patients described feeling intoxicated after ordinary meals, slurred speech, poor coordination, brain fog, hours after eating pasta or bread with zero awareness of why. It's a condition that quietly disproves an assumption most of us never think to question, that being drunk always means you drank something. Your own body, under the wrong conditions, can apparently do the job itself.